Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we are diving deep into one of the most tense and heartbreaking situations unfolding in Southeast Asia right now. The announcement just yesterday on December 27, 2025, that Thailand and Cambodia have reached a joint statement on an immediate ceasefire following weeks of brutal military conflict along their shared border. This news comes as a huge relief to millions, but also with a lot of skepticism because we have been here before, and the fragility of peace in this region is something that cannot be ignored. Let me walk you through the whole story, from the historical roots to the recent escalations, the human cost, and what this new agreement might mean moving forward. The border between Thailand and Cambodia stretches over 800 kilometers, and it has been a source of friction for more than a century, going back to the colonial era when French administrators drew lines that both sides have interpreted differently ever since. The most famous flashpoint has always been the ancient Preah Vihear temple, an 11th century Khmer masterpiece perched on a cliff that the International Court of Justice awarded to Cambodia back in 1962. But Thailand has never fully accepted the surrounding land claims, and similar disputes exist around other temples like Tamuwen Tom and Takra Bay. These undemarcated areas have led to sporadic clashes over the decades, but nothing prepared anyone for what happened in 2025. It all kicked off intensely in July, when heavy fighting broke out, with Cambodia firing rockets across the border and Thailand responding with airstrikes. Dozens were killed, thousands displaced, and the world watched as two ASEAN neighbors spiraled into open combat. Then came international pressure. Malaysia, as ASEAN chair, stepped in, along with strong pushes from the United States under President Trump, who even attended a signing ceremony in October for what was called the Kuala Lumpur Peace Accord. That agreement included withdrawing heavy weapons, joint demining efforts, and an observer team. It seemed like a breakthrough. Trump took credit for it, and for a while, tensions eased. But cracks appeared quickly. Both sides accused each other of violations. Thailand claimed Cambodia was reinforcing positions and planting landmines. Cambodia said Thailand was provoking with troop movements, and by December, the truce completely collapsed. Fighting resumed with even greater intensity, spreading across multiple provinces. Artillery barrages, rocket launches, Thai F-16 jets dropping bombs on what they called military targets in Cambodia, and reports of drones and long-range rockets being used. The death toll climbed past 100, with soldiers and civilians on both sides losing their lives. Hospitals hit, schools damaged, villages evacuated. It was the worst violence between these two countries in years, and the humanitarian impact was devastating. Over 500,000 people displaced on each side, families fleeing with whatever they could carry, temporary shelters overflowing, children separated from homes. The images coming out were gut-wrenching, and you could feel the fear in the voices of people interviewed on the ground saying they did not know if they would ever return home. Public reaction was intense. In Thailand, nationalism ran high, with many supporting a strong military response, seeing it as defending sovereignty. In Cambodia, there was outrage over alleged Thai aggression and damage to cultural sites, like accusations that airstrikes hit near ancient temples. Both governments used media to push their narratives, accusing the other of starting the latest round and spreading disinformation. It created this toxic atmosphere where trust was completely eroded. And then, just as things seemed on the brink of even worse escalation, talks resumed. Military officials met under the General Border Committee mechanism for several days, and on December 26th, the defense ministers, Thai Minister Natapon Narkpanit and Cambodian Minister Tia Seha, sat down and signed this new joint statement. The key points are an immediate ceasefire starting at noon on December 27th, no more attacks with any weapons, no targeting civilians or infrastructure, freezing troop positions where they are right now, no reinforcements that could escalate things, cooperation on demining, and even combating cross-border cybercrime. Thailand agreed to release 18 captured Cambodian soldiers if the truce holds for 72 hours, and both sides committed to allowing displaced people to return home safely. ASEAN observers will monitor compliance, and there's emphasis on open communication to resolve any issues quickly. It sounds comprehensive on paper, and the fact that it was signed directly by the defense ministers gives it more weight than some past declarations. But here's where the hidden angles come in. This ceasefire feels like it was born out of exhaustion more than genuine reconciliation. Both militaries have taken heavy losses, resources stretched, economies impacted by the disruption of border trade, and the international community was piling on pressure. ASEAN foreign ministers held emergency meetings. China and the US both urged restraint. No one wants a wider regional instability, especially with bigger global tensions elsewhere. Domestically, too, leaders in both countries face criticism if fighting drags on. It hurts tourism, investment, and public support. So this agreement buys time, but the underlying issues, the border demarcation, the temple claims, the mutual distrust, they remain unresolved. Without a permanent settlement through something like renewed ICJ involvement or bilateral mapping, these truces will keep being temporary. Looking at the global impact, this conflict highlighted how fragile ASEAN unity can be when members fight each other. It strained relations within the bloc and gave outsiders like the US and China opportunities to mediate, which they did. But it also showed the limits of great power influence when local grievances run so deep. Economically, the border areas rely on trade and movement. Closures hit livelihoods hard, and the displacement crisis put pressure on aid organizations. Future possibilities are mixed. On the optimistic side, if this ceasefire holds and the 72-hour observation period passes smoothly with prisoner releases and people returning home, it could build some momentum for deeper talks, perhaps reviving the Joint Boundary Committee or inviting neutral third parties for demarcation. On the pessimistic side, history shows these agreements often fray over small incidents. A misinterpreted patrol, a new accusation, and things flare up again. Nationalism is still strong on both sides, and without addressing the root causes, we might see another round in months or years. What is clear is that the people along the border, the families torn apart, the soldiers on the front lines, they are the ones paying the highest price, and they deserve lasting peace, not just another pause in the fighting. This joint statement is a step, hopefully a big one, toward de-escalation, but everyone will be watching closely in the coming days and weeks to see if words turn into reality. Thanks for joining me on this analysis. If you found it informative, hit that like button, subscribe for more deep dives into global events, and let me know in the comments what you think. Will this ceasefire hold, or are we just seeing a temporary calm? Stay safe out there, and I will see you in the next one.